Hello, and welcome to another episode. In this episode, I will be speaking with a colleague who recently left the security industry. However, he had been in it for several years, and I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to sit down with him and learn from some of his experiences and some of the challenges he had faced in working as a door supervisor. Here it is. Have a listen.
No, because I think when you have a job, it's not just about the money. I think it's fair that you get paid for what you do, but equally you want to put something to add, something you have.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be paid for what you do for 6 hours and then you go home. You want to, make it worth, invest more time and efforts to improve yourself because then it gives you something back.
Yeah.
Because you grow professionally, also personally. Why not?
So can you just introduce yourself, please? What's your name and what is it you do or did?
Yeah. So my name is Robin. My surname is Aya Diego. I'm originally from Nigeria. Was born and raised in Italy. Worked in the security since 2019, but I recently resigned. I really enjoyed it, but now I've got a new experience and I'm a police officer. So I'm joining the new force in about 2 weeks.
In about 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But I'm going down the south next week. Next tomorrow.
So basically you've worked in Glasgow since 2019.
With SGL, yes.
Yeah, with security.
Yeah, okay. Correct.
And how is it you got into becoming a door supervisor?
Basically, I used to work for a company called Diaries. Mm-hmm. So I was an event steward. Same, the guys with the yellow bibs, events, football matches, and I was working there, and I saw the opportunity to get my badge, to get a pay rise, but also get a new experience altogether. But the company would organize classes based on the first come, first served policy. Uh-huh. So there were classes after classes I've been waiting for some long time, but I couldn't get in. Mm-hmm. So eventually, my brother, who was already working for SGL, suggested I should try out with SGL and see how it pans out. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I joined the company thanks to the referral of my brother, who referred me to the manager, and the manager offered me the opportunity to join the company.
Okay, that's good. So with that referral, you've been able to work with the company since?
Let's say that I was able to speed up the process because I had already applied for it through the government site, but it would take longer.
Yeah.
But because my brother was already there, it was fast-tracked.
So you said you've been there since 2019, right?
Correct.
And this is 2022. So how come? What has made you stay in the industry that long? What do you think has allowed you to maintain that level of longevity, you could say? Because guys, obviously in security, you will know this better than myself, who's a new guy to the industry, but you will know that guys come and leave after 6 months typically. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. I think it stems from your motivation. So if you apply for a job, you want to try it out, but also you want to make sure that you are prepared to give something in return. Of course, you get paid because it's a job like anything else, but equally, you are expected to add some added value. And because I'm a person I think I am disciplined. I like to do things properly, so I knew the company was offering me an opportunity and I wanted to give something back, and that's why I lasted, I would say, this long, because 3 years is a good period of time.
It is.
Compared to other, to the average, because a lot of people come in 2, 3 months, 4 months, highest, and then they move out. So yeah.
So thanks for that. What skills before you came into this industry did you have that has helped you get into it, and also as in obviously to be able to stay this long, 3 years, but also what skills have you gained since getting into the security industry as a door supervisor specifically?
So before joining the company, I've always been a disciplined guy. I'm so proud of my parents and the good upbringing that they gave me. So I was always respectful towards people, and that's a quality that a lot of people tell me about when they speak proudly about myself. But when I joined SGL, more specifically Door Supervision, what I learned is to be more patient with customers, especially those who try to wind you up, because obviously it's a job that attracts that a lot. You always have to deal with people who are not so well educated in a way. They're very mouthy, they try to provoke you. But also I learned teamwork, because when I was with G4S, it was mainly a group of 100, 200 stewards, and you were managed by team leaders. But I never actually worked with a small team in a field, on the field. Whereas this is something that I learned whilst working for SGL. We were always small groups of 4, 6, 8, highest 12 Door Supervisors at one time. So that was great. And being a team leader, my communication skill set has improved a lot throughout these years. So yeah, these are basically the top 2 values that I learned with security.
You mentioned respect. I think personally respect is a big thing within this industry. Like when you first get into it, because it's so easy to encounter a situation where customers are disrespectful.
Indeed.
How would you compose yourself in those situations? I know you mentioned patience, but how do you treat someone who's disrespectful to you, even though you've treated them initially with respect and a bit of decency, human decency?
So one thing you need to understand is that people normally do what they do because you represent authority. So you give them a motive to challenge you.
Right.
Yeah. So what I think is, I think to myself, okay, they are doing it to me because I'm a Door Supervisor. They're not actually angry at me, but they're angry at what I'm doing. So that's something that a kind of trick that I use when I have confrontational situations. But obviously, it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can still improve. You always strive to improve, but that's the main trick I use.
Well, that's good, because you also mentioned striving to improve. I think you might not have mentioned that towards what a skill set that sort of has helped you stay in that. But you've always mentioned being disciplined, but wanting to strive to improve is something, as an individual, is something I think coming into the industry could be a big advantage. Is that something you would say?
Indeed, because obviously if you don't strive to improve, you don't learn. You stagnate at some point. I see some of my colleagues who, regardless of how many years they've been in the industry, you see that they don't add anything more than they've already added. So they come here with a attitude like, oh, I've been in the industry for 20 years, so don't tell me what to do. I know already everything to do. There was a guy, I don't name for reason, but he came to me and he said, oh, I've got 40 years of experience in security. I was like, okay. And then he went on saying, oh, but if you need the job, let me know, because I know I've got connections. I was like, okay, cool. It turns out that after 3 shifts, he got DNR'd from the place he was in.
And sorry, what's DNR? What does DNR?
So DNR means do not return.
Do not return.
So it's an acronym we use when the clients you work in asks SGL not to send you back to the premise where you worked in.
So like clients, you mean like the clubs, the pubs, and whatever?
Correct.
Please continue.
Yep. That's pretty much what happened. So he was cocky. So if you don't continue learning in the job, it gets harder for you to improve. And we as human beings, we are designed to continuously learn, continuously improve. And there's no way you're gonna say, oh, okay, I've achieved everything, I know everything. That's me. No, you can continue. Even when you retire, you still have other challenges to face. So yeah, keep learning, keep improving, never stop. Yeah.
And just in terms of the venues themselves, like it's a very much a people industry. Would you say the job we do?
Indeed.
How much of being a people person, does that help you, getting into this industry, like, and also becoming comfortable in the role we do as security officers, door supervisors?
Well, basically the job is about personal skills. So it's not like, for instance, I'll give this example. You're in a factory and you have to be good at what you do with your hands. Yeah. But in this job, you are praised for the qualities you have. For it's more person-centered than the goods you produced. So to be personable, to be approachable, these are qualities that you must work on. And yes, I would say that it's definitely person-focused.
How do you think someone could improve being personable, being able to relate to customers in a way that doesn't come across as being overly authoritative, as you mentioned, that our role sort of attracts that automatic by default?
One thing you need to understand is that if you judge people at first sight, then that affects the way you interact with them. So if you always judge people for, because you have obviously your ideas, your moral values, I know it's not easy to just put that aside and look at the people without judging them, because we as humans automatically judge. We discriminate in a certain way, not racially wise, but like he likes sex on the beach, I like beer, you like this. So we have preferences, but obviously when you're in this job, you have to be objective. You can't really let your emotions or subjectivity take place and overrule what you do. So remain impartial, remain objective. That helps a lot.
Yeah, that's really good. Appreciate it. Now,
it's good.
First, I know you mentioned it briefly, but what advice would you give to someone getting into the industry, like on how to get into the industry, for example? Like, what sort of things must they do to be able to get into, if they wanted to get into what we do?
Yeah. So what I notice is that a lot of people start off this job. Obviously, you have challenges, but they get discouraged too quickly.
Okay.
So what I say is, be more perseverant. Continue.
And some guys just moving a table around here.
So despite the fact that you might have tough challenges, just be resilient. Be don't give up. Continue working, knowing that you're doing the right thing, and don't get discouraged by the first challenges, because obviously I had my own challenges too. I struggled in the beginning a little bit because obviously it was something new, so sometimes there were situations that now I could easily deal with, but at the time I was like, I would rather not. So don't be discouraged by the first hurdles.
Okay. Now I'm hoping you have some memorable moments, because I know you're leaving the industry. So over the course of 3 years, if you were to sum up your top 5 memorable moments in terms of obviously the things you've observed, in the industry, whatever, like what would the top 5, or just a top
5?
It doesn't need to be 5. Just a memorable moment you've had so far in the industry.
So the first would be the training course. Okay. I really liked it because the instructor was very funny. He was entertaining. As you know, when you do your first 4 days of training and then on the 5th day you do your exam, normally the training course lasts for about 8 to 9 hours. But this instructor was very entertaining, and he would say, okay, I know we are supposed to finish at 6, but let's call it a day at 5, So he would just send us home, and he was always trying to entertain us. The second episode will be the first day I joined the company, not the company, but working at the county house. So it was a brand new experience for me. I was overwhelmed by the environment because it was my first time at the county house, and unlike now, you had a maximum capacity that was not set, so you could have 1,000 people, 1,500 people in there. I was literally overwhelmed, but it was nonetheless a new challenge for me. So I was happy to be on board and take that opportunity. Yeah. The third one would be my first shift at the casino, Merchant City.
Okay.
Again, I was new. I didn't have experience, but it was funny. Well, not funny, but it was pretty remarkable the way I was able to gain authority and respect from customers, which is rare, as I said before, to get respect, because it was my first shift, so I was acting like a study doorman, typical boardman.
Very strict kind of.
Exactly. So a guy walked in with a can of Coke. Obviously, customers are not allowed to bring in drinks.
They own, into a venue.
So the guy was drinking, and then I approached the group where he was sitting in, and everyone would turn around and say, "Oh, the doorman is here." And the guy turned around and said, "Oh, what have I done wrong?" I was like, No, nothing wrong, but you can't drink. You need to finish. So he immediately stood up and emptied the can and then continued to stay with his friends. So it was cool to have a sense of authority that, was cool.
I was gonna say as well, like, so obviously dealing with drunk people, right? How is it you would speak to a drunk person to get them to listen compared to like speaking to a sober person? Because there's a big difference, isn't there? Like, and how what we say, the way it comes across between when someone is drunk and when someone is sober. How would you, obviously through your experience, speak to someone?
So, believe me or not, sometimes it's easier to deal with drunkards than to deal with sober people, because with drunk people you can trick them. So, for instance, they say, "I'm gonna beat you up and stuff." But you tell them, "No, listen, we are both handsome guys. We don't want to smash our teeth in, so let's call it a day. No one wants to get hurt." So they kind of, go on your side and they just walk on their own. But when they are sober, it's more about their ego. They put their ego a lot in front of you. So they don't like you telling them what to do. So sometimes it's harder to deal with them.
Do you find that the ego is inflated even more when they have friends there? Is that
especially when they have the door supervisor in front of you who is trying to tell you something. The fact that you can challenge them gives them more, they pump up their egos and they continue doing so until they are forced to leave.
So how would you deal with those kind of those type of customers then, like with that kind of level of ego that it's unbearable?
So sometimes you have to let them sort of
would you say vent, like?
Release a little bit of tension that they have, and then they just walk away. Sometimes you have to, unfortunately, use the hard way. Some of them are also aggressive. They put their hands on you, so you have to restrain them as well. It happened in the past, but you have to be careful though, because as a door supervisor, you have to use reasonable force.
And reasonable force. Just to sum it up for us, if you can, please.
So reasonable force means that you can. So you are given more authority with your badge, because obviously it's something that you pay for. You had a course, you were trained, professionally trained. But it's also bigger responsibility. So you cannot use more force than a customer uses on you. If you do so, you might be a personable offense. And if a police finds you guilty, not only you face consequences for the actions, but you also face consequences because of your badge. So that's what it means.
You could potentially lose the badge as well, isn't that right?
In extreme cases, yes.
Suspended for a bit and then potentially lose it. And have you worked in a situation?
Because, sorry, just to close up. The badge is actually not yours. It belongs to the government. You are given the right to use it, but you don't own it. So that's
something I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that.
See, if you look at your badge, at the back it says that if someone finds it, you should return it to the address, whatever it is, which belongs to the government. they don't say, oh, send it back to your home address.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not yours. You own the rights to use it, but you don't own it.
Okay. Who's been like the most difficult customer you've had to encounter besides the one with the court case, but you know, without getting too overly physical? What's been that situation? What's that situation been like?
So there was a guy at the casino, a customer, who had been rude towards my colleague. So him and his girlfriend were shouting at my colleague. So my colleague told them, "You're not getting in." Fine. My colleague came to me and said, "Listen, I rejected these two people. That's it." Okay. So he went downstairs, but these people were trying to get in. So I bounced them back and told them, "Listen, my colleague said that you're not getting in, so you're not getting in." They were argumentative, they were abusive, and they stood there for a solid 20-30 minutes.
20-30 minutes?
Yeah, standing there talking nonsense. I was they were completely a pain in the ass, and they were very abusive. And I took all the load of abuse because my colleague was so scared to fight this guy because he was built up, he was muscular, and he was trying to intimidate me, but I wasn't phased, to be honest. But my colleague was intimidated and went downstairs. So I called him on the radio and I said, "Listen, we need to remove him, so you need to come upstairs." So he invented this excuse that the management told him not to go upstairs because they were watching the guy on the cameras and they were going to call the police, which they never did. In essence, the guy was afraid
of getting arrested.
My colleague was afraid.
your colleague, right, okay.
Yeah, was afraid of removing this guy because he was muscular. But the guy was standing there throwing me abuse all the time. But he was standing there and then eventually left. But it was a really tense moment. And I don't know how I managed to resist that long, to be honest, because the abuse he gave me was it wouldn't finish. You wouldn't see the end of it. You understand? But eventually I managed to ask him to go, and that was it.
So I guess that goes back to what you said about being patient and not reacting to the situation.
That episode tested my patience to the very highest peak. Really, I don't know how I managed to resist.
Yeah,
but it was great success because eventually I got the result, and the result is what matters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, finally, you said the three of us sitting here are aware of your next destination, which is working in the police force. But how would you say your time as a door supervisor has prepared you for something like this? And also, what sort of avenues do you see through gaining the experience and the opportunities in door supervision could allow for other guys coming in after yourself?
So sorry, what was the second part of the question?
So the second part is, the first part is sort of how is this role prepared you for the police force, and also the second one is more to do with what sort of how is it that it's been what sort of avenues do you think the security as a door supervisor, what sort of doors do you think that opens up? What opportunities do you think that opens up through obviously years of experience and
So believe it or not, policing, security is part of policing. So I'm joining the police having done a part of it, because obviously police officers are also responsible for the security of the member of the public. But unlike security like we're doing now, you are responsible for a single premise, whereas police could be called to attend any venue, any place, square, county house, casino, any bar. So I think that security prepared me for this job, though policing is like a macro category as opposed to a micro category. Like a micro category, which is security. That's still part of it, so it prepared me pretty well. What I'll say to people who still work in the security industry is get any opportunity you have, like DS top up, which is Door Supervisor top up, any learning opportunity like first aid and stuff, to upgrade your skills, because you might want to become a supervisor eventually, or to get into the management, or even getting into other sectors that employ security. Security is a very sought after job. Most companies require security. If you go to Sainsbury, Tesco, you go to even corporate buildings and stuff, you always see security everywhere. You go to the airport, you see security. So always upgrade your skills and try and wade through the various opportunities that security gives you.
Well, thank you for all of that. But finally, what advice before leave, would you give? What advice would you give to the new guys coming into the industry? Just as if you were to sum up, like, I know you've given us a lot of advice and stuff.
Yeah.
But what sort of tips and additional advice would you leave us with? Because again, you're leaving the industry, you're taking your years of experience with you.
So, as I said before, don't get discouraged by any challenge that you may find. Sometimes challenges can be indeed hard, but you have to overcome them. And if you can't, seek help, because you always have people whom you can speak to about it. Another advice I would give newcomers would be always get opportunities to improve your skills. If the company offers you any course to upgrade your skills, take them. Don't wait without delay. Just go for it. And then, lastly, enjoy it. Try and enjoy it as much as you can. No one forces you to go to work. You do it, so enjoy it.